Hi, everybody. It's Mike Lowe with Core Home Loans. I'm back with Barry Habib. It's been a little while, but I'm sure you guys all know Barry by now. And again, three-time Crystal Ball Award winner. Nobody's ever won that thing twice. And Barry, I'm extremely impressed. It's been a difficult market to forecast out, and you have been pretty much right every time with what's been going on during this crazy period. So without any further ado, Barry, take it away.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, Mike, on the last couple of times we've spoken, we looked forward to the date of November 10th. We said that's when interest rates would start to drop. Over the summer, we had forecasted that they were going to go up. Sure enough, they did. That's because mortgage rates don't follow the Fed, they follow inflation. And while inflation was rising, yes, the Fed was hiking, but that was to get a hold of inflation. Finally, inflation is starting to come down. And then we circled November 10th because that's when we're going to get the October of 22 data. And that was going to replace October of 21. And we thought that the lower numbers would replace higher numbers, and therefore the overall number of inflation would come down, and it did. So we expect that to continue, not in a straight line, but we will see step by step by step. And back when we last talked and rates were at 7.25, and I was telling you that we were going to go to 5% in the first half of next year, people thought we were crazy. Most people were forecasting they were going to head towards 10. But sure enough, here we are since that November 10th date. 25 days later, and mortgage rates are down almost 1%. That's a big move in 25 days. So we're not going to maintain that same pace of reduction in rate, but certainly we're headed in the right direction. And while we might move 2 steps in the right direction, 1 step back, because it's not going to be in a straight line, we see that. So what does this tell us? It tells us that there is an enormous opportunity in housing today. And with any opportunity, you've got to see it before it becomes obvious. So just to set the stage for you, a year ago, while it was great that you can get a 3.5% mortgage, the problem was that the housing market was so on fire that you had to spend many thousands of dollars over asking price. So if it's a $500,000 home, you got to go $50,000 over asking price, and then you couldn't even get terms. And Mike, I'm sure that you remember, you couldn't even, in some cases, get a home inspection or an appraisal. In some cases, it was crazy.
Yep.
Now, Mike, it's gone back to what we would call normal. Except for the last couple of years, I would always remember that there would be some horse trading, some negotiation that would go on. If somebody wanted to sell their home for 500, you don't just go in and say, here's your 500. In most cases, you come and say, okay, I'll offer you 475, 480. Maybe they come back and they say, well, 495, and you agree on 490, and there you go. So even a modest 2% reduction on a $500,000 home, that's $10,000. So many people would say, hey, you know what? I'll be happy that I can negotiate. I'm happy that I get $10,000 off, and that would be it. But the great thing that you bring to your customers and your real estate partners can bring to their customers is a way to take not just that $10,000, but the value that you add to show them how you can turn that into a much bigger savings. And the way to do that is, now the seller's already said, I'm going to give you $10,000 off in this example. Don't take the $10,000 as a price reduction. Take the $10,000 either towards a permanent buy down, which brings your rate down significantly, or do a 2-1 buy down, which means you bring the rate down 2% the first year, 1% the next year, then normal. So if the rate's at 6.5, you could actually, with a permanent buy down, get that rate down around 5.5% today. I'm just using round numbers here, okay? So you can get that rate down quite a bit in this, for argument's sake. If it's a 2-1 buy down, you're going to be 2% below the note rate the first year, then 1%. So this is just a hypothetical example of how conceptually this would work. But whatever the rate is, the permanent buy down with those points are going to bring it down. So you don't want to take it towards a reduction. Take that same amount and apply it towards points for a permanent buy down, or use a 2-1 buy down. So I got some slides here that I think illustrate it quite well. Let me just show you. So once again, last year, you're paying over asking price, but now you've got a normal negotiation. So let's just say if it's $10,000, right? So if you were to take the $10,000 towards points, you're going to bring that rate way down. A 2-1 buy down means you're going to go down 2%. So again, here's another hypothetical example. If the rate hypothetically were 7, you'd be 2% below that in year 1. And in this example, you'd save about $500 a month. Now, if we're right and rates continue to come down and you have the ability to refinance next year, Well, then you didn't use all your 2-1 buy down that you put the money up for, because the borrower is paying it and not the lender. That gets refunded to the borrower. And guess what it would go towards? Paying for your refinance next year. So just to kind of wrap this up, you could buy the home of your dreams today, get the rate you want today, buy the home at a discount instead of paying more. And next year, if we're right, as inflation continues to come down, you may have the opportunity to refinance it. You get a refund from your 2-1 buy down to pay for that refinance. And then you watch the market heat up once again, as now in a much lower rate environment, you unleash a horde of buyers in a very tight inventory environment. This is a rare win-win. This is, opportunities are opportunities because they're not obvious. If everybody saw it, it's not an opportunity. The reason why is because you got to see beyond the headlights. You have to have the ability to kind of look a few steps down the chessboard. And that's why it would be a wise thing to contemplate this. And let me just show you, because people say, well, why is it not better to take the cash as a reduction in price? Why is it so much better? Well, for a couple of reasons. One, mathematically speaking, you will never be cheaper in monthly payment if you just took the reduction in price. You will always be cheaper with either the 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down. And this is a tool that, Mike, you have access to in MBS Highway that you share with your customers. So for the first 3 years, the 2-1 buy down payment was cheaper. And then after that, the permanent. At no time would the reduction in price be cheaper. But then you might say, okay, well, the reduction in price, you have a little less down payment and you have a little less mortgage. So shouldn't that be contemplated if I were to either refinance or sell my home? Well, here's the interesting part of that. If you took a look at either when you refinanced or sold the home, if you did that in the first year and a half, and we're thinking that that might happen within a year, the 2-1 buy down would be cheaper for you. If you did it between years 1.5 and 2.5, and only during that period, the price break would be cheaper. If you did it after 2.5 years and forever after that, the permanent buy down would be cheaper. So if you were to say, okay, well, this is a 30-year term, in 97% of the time, it would be better to apply towards either a permanent buy down or a 2-1 buy down, and only 3% of the time would the price break be the best choice. And if you looked at from a payment standpoint, 0% of the time would a price break be better. So from a mathematical standpoint, it is always better to take it towards either a permanent buy down or a 2-1 buy down as opposed to just a price break alone. So get that reduction and put yourself in that position. Now, I did a video. I was going to show you where you could find it. I did a video, and you could follow me on Instagram, and you could see, if you just want to scan that QR code, or my Instagram handle is just I am Barry Habib. There's a video that I did which also explains this quite nicely.
I love it. And you explained it perfectly. And a lot of people, like you explained the opportunity, that there's this opportunity. A lot of people think it's just not a good time and they still have that mindset. And it's like, it's a better time if you're looking at it the right way. And a lot of people still regret not buying in the middle of 2020 because they just have 2.875 stuck in their head as an interest rate on a 30-year fix. But it's, I think Brian Stevens from the National Real Estate Post, you were on one of his videos as well. And there, somebody said something, and it's kind of cheesy, but it's so perfect that it may be your forever home, but it's not your forever loan.
Yeah,
So,
that terminology has been going on, but I do hear people making a terrible mistake. And here we've seen activity in homes drop a little bit, and quite frankly, values have now decreased from their peak by about 2%. Values have decreased from their peak about 2%. And people said, "Oh, terrible time." And I watch people on TV say, "Yeah, last year people were talking about that you should, that the housing market was good. What a mistake." A mistake. Since then, in the last 12 months, home values have gone up 10%. So if you did buy last year, you made 10% on the home. So let's just say if it's a $500,000 home, you're up $50,000 right now. Okay. And that's inclusive of the 2% drop. So you're up $50,000 and you're sitting with a 3% mortgage rate. I mean, I think you made a great decision to make that purchase last year, right? It's a very foolish comment for people to say, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have bought last." Yeah, you should have bought last year. But now this opportunity, if you could think ahead, means that you will also see, yes, you're not going to get that low rate, but you will catch it next year. And if you use the price reduction towards the permanent buy down to 2-1, you get the price you want, the rate you want, and then you watch appreciation grow, because now everybody will come back in when rates go back to 5%.
Yep. And it's so funny, the example you gave, because last night I came back to the office, got a guy that's about to get into escrow, and this is exactly what is happening. And the guy is a very sharp guy. I've helped him with a couple loans in the past. The realtor's very savvy too. It was a 490 purchase price, which is basically your example at 500, $10,000 credit from the seller. And that's exactly what we are doing. So, I mean, the guy couldn't be happier. He gets it. And it's just that's exactly what's happening. So I think you nailed it on the head. And yeah.
Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks. Continue to help people, brother. Good to see you
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely, Barry. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day. And we appreciate you coming on here and helping us out. Everything that you do.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We'll see you later. Thank you, Barry.